Hello and welcome to the Pontiac GTO Podcast, powered by the GTO Association of America. Explore online and become a member today at www.gtoaa.org. I'm your host, Kurt Rame, along with my co-host, Eric Frazee. Let's get motoring. Welcome, everybody. This is the Pontiac GTO Podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Rame. Right across the screen from me is my co-host, Eric Frazee. How are we doing today, Eric?
Good, Kurt. How are you?
I'm doing great. I thought to start things off today that I would kind of let you answer the question that people are probably wondering right now, and that's why a podcast on Pontiacs? What are we doing here? What are we hoping to accomplish with this? So can you shed some light on that for us?
Yeah, so, we have three main reasons. The first one we're going to start with is just to celebrate the great one. As most of you know, the GTO did turn 60 this year. So our goal is to create awareness for what the GTOAA might be doing. Let others know that you don't even have to have a GTO. You can just be a Pontiac lover to join the GTOAA. And then our third is to kind of give people a behind-the-scene look of our national convention and even our regional conventions that we held.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all here because we love Pontiacs, and
Right.
we want to see your Pontiac. It may be real pretty in your garage, but we want people to be able to enjoy it.
Yes.
So whether that's at one of the GTOAA events, either regional or national, or virtually on our Facebook page, which is growing rapidly, in our award-winning magazine, The Legend, or right here on the Pontiac GTO Podcast, we want to hear your car story. We want to see pictures of your car or see it in person. So I'm excited to get started and get this venture underway. I thought, just so our listeners are a little bit more exposed to who we are, I thought at this first episode I might ask you some questions and kind of let you dive into your background a little bit. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great, Kurt.
Okay. Well, good. Let's start off with a pretty easy question, though. It's kind of the heart and soul of everything that we are. How did Eric become a Pontiac guy?
So I was actually born into the Pontiac world. My dad, Paul Frazee, as I'm sure most of you know, he bought his first GTO in 1983. He paid $1,800 for it. And it was a 68 hardtop Fedora green. He turned it into a Pro Street car. He drove it all through high school. And in 1986, he actually joined GTOAA as member number 1953.
Oh my gosh. Does he still have the car?
Yes. It's currently in a garage somewhere, torn apart, but his goal is to get it back on the road. So kind of with my background, I would say, I obviously said I was born into it. Growing up, we would go to different car shows here locally. We would go to different GTOAA shows. We would go to Norwalk for the Ames Tri-Power Pontiac Nationals. We'd go to Hot Rod Power Tour. Basically, if there's a show that he was going to, he was taking us. So he opened up his shop, Fast Restorations, in 2002, and I kind of helped in the office all through my middle school, high school, and I was more of the office person. I hated getting dirty. To this day, I will not work on a car, but I do how to, know the basics, how to change oil, change tires. So I see kind of his role in GTOAA and see how he has progressed over time. He's a concourse judge. He started that in 2006.
Okay.
And he is now the concourse modified administrator, which basically he helps organize the modified judging of the concourse.
And I think that's fairly new to the people who have been around the GTOAA for a long time. The concourse was always kind of your original, your factory original style restorations, but your dad is leading the group of people that are actually points judging these modified cars where people can come and put their custom touches on it and show it and get the same type of concourse gold award that you would if you had an original one, right?
Exactly, yeah. So he has done that. I believe he said they started that in 2010.
Okay.
And, kind of seeing where his knowledge has led him in the GTOA, I think it's time, that I can step up and as a Pontiac enthusiast, put my role into it now and help out where I can and help promote what I can do and spread the word.
I know your dad's been a staple at nearly every GTOAA event I've been to. He's been there. And of course, I've been up to your shop a couple times. He's just a good dude and he's fun to talk to because he knows his stuff.
Right, exactly. So, fun fact, I said he was member 1953, joined in 1986. I joined in July of 24, and my member number is 22,511.
I'd say it's grown a little bit since, which is 83?
86 is when he
86.
joined.
Grown a little bit since 86.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you said you don't like to get your hands dirty and work on cars. Is there a Pontiac in the garage right now?
There is not. I am working on buying one.
Okay.
But it is still in process.
Okay. Well, don't give up too much information on that. We'll keep it a surprise to our listeners.
Right.
But what if money was no object? What would you park in that garage? Would it be a Pontiac, and what would it be?
So it would be a Pontiac. It would not be a GTO. It would be a GTO, but my first choice would not be a GTO. It would be a 1978 Trans Am, Martinane blue, and then a close second choice would be a 70 GTO, and I would probably say that color would be palladium silver.
Okay. Would you go the Judge route on the GTO?
I'd love to have a Judge, but I feel like most people who have a 70 has a Judge.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of just want to stand out and just have a
regular 70.
A regular 70.
Okay. Well, those are both really good choices. What now I know we our paths have crossed at GTOAA events as well. Do you have like a favorite GTOAA memory that kind of stands out?
There are several, but I would say one that really stands out would be the 2024 convention in Springfield, just for the fact that there was a connection. I made the connection with you, Kurt. I made the connection with Brian and John Johnson, and then Stephen Lucas Hedrick. And it was just different. Like, we were able to kind of all sit down and say, hey, this is what we kind of want to do, make the future better. And it's only a family we see once a year.
That's kind of where this whole podcast dream came about. We're kind of hanging out in the parking lot after the parking lot party, just kind of talking about who we are and how we got in the we're like, man, this would be something cool to share with everybody else, because there's a decent amount of people there. You don't get a chance to talk to everyone. Plus, as you said, member 22,000.
Right.
There's several thousand people we may have never met that share the same type of bond that we do with these cars.
And honestly, I think one of the coolest events, coolest things with GTOAA is how people just sit around after the show nights and just, sit around, talk, drink. There's a member who makes his own moonshine, makes his own cherries, and he'll just bring them and pass them around. I can't remember the name of the cherries, but he obviously soaks them in alcohol. And we see these people once a year, and he's like, here, I brought this. And it's just something you expect. Like, it's an all-around good time.
It is a fun little wrinkle to the event, because when you get there, it's all about the cars during the day.
Yep.
And you have, the stuff for the kids. I mean, Tim and Nick Sickle do a great job putting on model car stuff and the build offs, and then you have, the seminars where people are talking about whether it's, insurance or stories from days past or current market value of Pontiacs. You have all that stuff going on too. But once all that dust settles and people are in lawn chairs just sitting, and you can just walk around and just interject yourself into these conversations, that's where you find out some really interesting stories that people have and the connections with their cars. So I'm with you on that. That is the fun part of the show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Eric, I think that's, for our first episode, that's enough of a tease of who you are and what brought you into the Pontiac world here. You want to return the favor here?
Yeah, I definitely will, Kurt. So How did you get involved in the hobby?
Uh, it's a story that's very similar to yours. Um, I was born into it as well. Um, I know your dad was in the restoration field and in leading stuff in the GTOAA. My dad didn't take that path, but he's been a collector of these cars for a long time. He actually got his first car against his dad's wishes. His dad owned a small insurance agency here in town, and when my dad turned 16, he's like, "All right, we'll go up to the car lot." He's like, "You can get any car on here, you just can't get a GTO." Those were his exact words, and all my dad heard was GTO. Okay, so he ended up getting a Dodge Cornet 500. 67 Dodge Cornet was his first car, but as soon as he got out of the house, he started getting the GTOs because if Dad didn't want him to get it, he was going to get one. So that's kind of I think what brought him to that is the fact that his dad knew for some reason the insurance rates were higher on GTOs than they were even on a 383 Mopar. Um, so he just didn't want him to get a GTO. So naturally, if you have kids, sometimes when you say stuff, your kids are gonna fight back against you. So he got into the Pontiac world, and I've spent many a mile riding shotgun from a very young age. Some of my earliest memories are riding in that front seat of that truck, uh, going to pick up a project car, Pontiac somewhere,
Oh
pulling out
yeah,
of the field, rusty. Sometimes no wheels or tires on them, hardly ever an engine in them.
been there.
But we'd winch them up on that trailer, strap them down, and bring them on home. And if you went to the garage and you didn't come out with rust in your eyes or bloody knuckles or grease all over the place, then you weren't working in his eyes. So we do that still to this day. That's the way we like to do it. Although it's a little easier now with Marketplace,
Oh yeah,
and then you can just have somebody deliver it right to your door. Back in the day, it was the thrifty nickel and the bargain mart, and
right.
we kind of stayed a little closer to home. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got involved.
What is your favorite GTO or GTOA memory?
Man, there's so many good memories that you make at every one of these shows. Um, they're all a little bit different. But kind of like you said, you brought up the point that it's kind of like a family you see once or twice a year. I mean, so people um, are a big part of that when you go back and see them every year. So there's always that the story and the connection and catching up with them. But I think the most special one to me so far was back in 2012. It was out in Loveland, Colorado. It was the first time that I took my car. Um, I've got a '66. It's right there. Martin Egrons. It was the first car show I took that car to after I finished it. Before that, it was all model cars. Um, and so my son was 2 at the time, and we were potty training, and it was a long drive out there. I think it was 18 hours or so um, out to Loveland from where we are. But we got to talk and hang out with Jim Wangers, who just was a fantastic person and just an icon in our industry. And my son got to sit on his lap and got his picture with him. He had his little tiger ears on. It's such a cute picture. I still have it on my screensaver on my computer. And I got to chat with Jim about just the little things on the car.
Right.
I had the PHS documentation on my car ran, and it came with the poverty caps or the dog dishes, whatever you want to call them. And I'd put red fender liners on it because I liked the way the red popped off the gold, kind of made it look brighter, I thought. And he's like, "That's such a weird option to cheap out on the wheels, but then put the red fender liners in there." And I'm like, that was kind of personal preference there. It didn't come like that. He's like, "Oh, that makes sense because I don't think anybody would have done that back in the day."
Right.
So we laughed about that, and he just uh, was a good guy.
Yeah. He really was. So you mentioned you have the 66 car. What else is in your garage?
I've got a '77 Can-Am um, that I'd finished restoring. I was hoping to get to the show last year, but we had a little malfunction. I tore some teeth off the flywheel on it, so I've got to fix that on it. And then, so I've got like the 66, the 77, and then so I had to get an 88. So I've got a Fiero formula, an 88 Fiero formula that I just got not that long ago. So those are the three that are in my garage that are in complete condition. I've got some project cars, but we'll get to that in another episode.
Right. So you have those cars, but if money was no option, what would your dream car be?
Oh, hands down, it would be a 64 GTO convertible, 4-speed, tri-power, and then color really isn't important at that point. Like the 64s, I just think a little bit of sentimental value with them being like the first GTO, the beginning of the muscle car era, but I think the body lines are so sleek on them, and the hoods, I think, are the most gorgeous hoods that Pontiac came out with. And I know it's just an opinion, but I love the way those cars look in the convertible form. I think they look just as fast with the top down as they do with the top up. So yeah, it'd be a 64 GOAT.
Awesome. All right, Kurt, I think that's all I had for you.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we reached out one more time to you. You guys, you obviously love Pontiacs. You're listening. Take the time right now to go ahead and jump on the website, www.gtoaa.org. Go ahead and join, sign up, and become a member today. Okay, I think it's $45 for the year. You want to talk about some of the perks you get with that, Eric?
Yeah, so with that $45 membership, you get access to, obviously, our website. You will get access to our monthly subscription of the Legend, which is full color. It features classified ads. It features our tech advisors information, member chapter information, as well as a story with a member's featured car.
And I think I mentioned before, it's an award-winning magazine. It's beautifully done. Every month, it's something new to look forward to. Full color, and the cover is going to be reader submission about your ride, which is always really cool.
Yeah.
I still read it in reverse. I grab those classifieds and then work my way toward the front because I love the classified section. All right. Eric, anything else you want to add before we jump off here today?
No, the only thing that I would add is, we've already said it, but make sure you join that GTOAA.org and start your membership today. We look forward to seeing what we can get to boost up this membership.
Absolutely. We want to see you at a show soon. We want to look at your car and compliment your car and hear your story.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we can all take a deep breath now. We got the first one out of the way. We're going to shift into high gear and take off with this podcast.
We are.
All right, Eric. Until next time, buddy. Turn them and burn them.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. See you, buddy.
See ya.